I've been following elections since 1980. I remember I was 10 when Reagan won. I remember it as the transforming experience that it was for American politics. I feel like we're now in a very similar time. For that reason, the midterm elections coming up are going to be some of the most consequential that I can remember in my lifetime.
Bad things will happen if you sit home.
You have a chance to restore some sanity to our politics.
The reason that the midterm elections coming up are probably the most important that I can remember is that they are a referendum not just on the presidency, and that would be typical of any midterm elections, but it's a referendum on American democracy. American democracy is set up, there's supposed to be 3 co-equal branches. They're supposed to be able to keep each other in check. That hasn't been happening under Donald Trump. In the past 2 years, there have been many firsts in American politics in terms of incivility, in terms of the use of misinformation, snowballing the public, hyper-partisanship. Is it possible that after this election that the people that are engaged in this most sort of corrosive behavior actually have to reevaluate because they are punished at the polls by the voters? This would be a testing ground of whether or not the Democrats have learned anything from 2016. It's arguable that in 2016 the Democrats thought that they were in a traditional presidential contest and that they understood the rules, when in reality there was a whole other set of rules that were disrupting the political scene. A record number of women and minorities are running, and this reflects a backlash to Trumpism. This idea that they're going to galvanize people around white male identity, and then these Americans are saying, well, wait a minute, we matter too. So the question is now, do the Democrats have a message that can transcend this sort of information chaos? The Russia probe continues, but what matters from these elections is if the Democrats do have power in the House of Representatives, then the threads of that probe can be pursued more thoroughly. That doesn't mean that Trump is going to be impeached. It just means that they will have the ability to investigate and to keep these issues live. Right now, because the Republicans control the House of Representatives, there's an issue where even investigations themselves start to look like they're not being done in good faith. The hope for the Democrats is that if they do get control, they'll be able to get more accountability and start to introduce that back into Washington, D.C. So because of this information environment that we're in, where people rely so much on social media and people are sort of tribalized, they're in their own sort of filter bubble, how do you make sure that people are even though they oppose each other, they're aware enough of each other's issues and worldviews so that the win of the opponent isn't a surprise? Because if that continues, then it starts to erode the trust in the system. That makes me worry at night because in order for democracy to function, there has to be some sort of shared understanding of what the situation is. Because of these factors, it is hard to say exactly what's going to happen in these midterms coming up. And so we should be prepared for any surprise, essentially.